Hi there, my name is Ash DaCosta, CTO for Mainland Information Systems. I would like to welcome you to our video series covering the innovative technologies offered by NetApp. Today I'm going to focus on a product in NetApp's portfolio that is starting to garner some serious attention: OnCommand Workflow Automation, or WFA for short. The goal of WFA is to simplify storage management processes. Using WFA, storage admins can easily define and automate common storage management tasks and make them available for execution by approved users. This reduces mistakes and mess-ups by eliminating the complexity of having to memorize a series of commands that must be executed in proper sequence in order for the task to be successful. Let me tell you, if I had this tool when I was a storage admin, I would have avoided... never mind. Let's get to the demo. So, before we get into the nitty-gritty, we will take a look at NetApp's System Manager interface, just to describe the NetApp storage system we're going to be working with. So we have a single clustered on tap instance, and we have several vServer instances within it. As you can see, within each vServer we have volumes as well as shares. Okay. I'm going to pop over now to WFA itself. And what you're seeing now is the portal for WFA. You can see various workflows that have already been predefined here. What we're going to do is we're going to create our own workflow. So I'm going to pop over to Designer. And I'm going to look for a workflow that defines a new volume. So there you go. Create a cluster mode volume. I'm going to modify this particular template, but I don't want to modify it in place. I'm going to make a copy of it. So I'm going to select it first and then clone it. Right click, and I'm going to say clone. Extend this so that we create a CIFS share that attaches to this volume. So first thing I'm going to do is going to take a look at this command. As you can see, these are all the parameters that are required in order to undertake this task. You have a name, which is a volume name variable. That is a user input variable. You indicate you have to specify the aggregate. The aggregate is automatically searched in this case, as is the vServer within which the aggregate is assigned to. So we'll cancel out of this. Okay, and now we're going to define the command that's going to create the CIFS share for this volume. To do that, we'll select Preferences. And the first thing I'm going to do is just rename this so that it's a little bit more understandable as to what it's going to do. Create a cluster mode volume with CIFS share. Next thing is we're going to go to Commands, and we will try and find the CIFS share command. There it is, create a cluster mode CIFS share. Select that. Say OK. As you see, we now have the create cluster mode CIFS share command, and we have to define what the command does. So just select on the plus, and we will now insert parameters. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to specify a user variable for the CIFS share name. I'm going to call it $share name, and any variable that for user input is prefixed with a $sign. The path is going to be a slash with the volume name defined from the previous step. So when I type in volume, it's populating the list box with various parameters that the previous step contains. In this case, what I want is volume dot name. So it will take the volume name from the previous step. Now I'm going to specify the vServer, which I also want from the previous step. So the previous step was named volume dot, and then you can see vServer is right there. So I select that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select OK, and I've defined the command that allows you to create a CIFS share. So there you go. I've now created a new workflow. The workflow creates not just a volume, but also a CIFS share associated with it. I'm going to save that now, then close the workflow. As you can see, there's my new workflow ready to go. Before I execute this, I'm just going to show you that on the system manager that I'm going to create the volume and CIFS share on vServer 2. When I select volumes, as you can see, there's only one volume. And if you look at the share, there are only a couple of shares there. I'm going to go back to WFA, right click, and I'm going to execute this workflow. So as you can see now, it's asking what cluster do I want and what vServer. In this case, I'm going to select vServer 2. The volume name, I want to make something a little understandable so you know that it was actually me that created it. So I'm going to say ash vol is my volume name. The size, let's just make it simple, 1 gig. And the share name is going to be ash share. Then execute. So as you see right now, it's creating the cluster mode volume. And it's completed that, and it's creating the CIFS share, which is now complete as well. Now I click OK. And if I go back to System Manager, I select volumes. There's my ash vol sitting right there. If I click on shares, there's my ash share. So what I've effectively done is I have taken two tasks that would have to be executed separately and in the proper sequence, and I've put it together in a single workflow that I can now assign to any administrator to actually create a CIFS share associated with a particular volume. So that's complete task automation. So there you go, storage task automation with WFA. Bear in mind that I did a very basic workflow for demo purposes. WFA is a very powerful tool that can automate many sequences of tasks with a far higher degree of flexibility than what I demonstrated here today. So if you haven't looked at the solution for your NetApp storage infrastructure yet, I strongly encourage you to take a look. Well, thanks for joining me today, and feel free to drop me a line sometime. Take care.